G'day, welcome to Chalk Senior Control. Today we're at a Megatech in Perth, Western Australia. We're going to do an in-depth dive into the EN12i and the BS10. Now if you look at the video on our YouTube channel, recently we did an overview of these two products and their features. Today I actually want to show you how they work, what they do, and why they're kind of awesome. In 3, 2, 1. How do you record cues from your lighting control software into the EN12i? If we look at the laptop screen here, you can see I've got CLU open and it's showing all of the devices in the rack here, but I'm going to click on the EN12i. Now, if I go over here to the menu, you can see there's a thing that says cues. And if I click on cues, we have 3 options: run cues, save cues, and cue options. Now, what I've done a little earlier is I've recorded a couple of cues into the device already. So if I go to run cues, currently you can see it says disabled and there's no cue. So if I click on Q1 and then hit run, it'll play back that cue. If I go to Q2 and hit run, it'll play Q2. If I go to Q3, and this is where things get a little interesting. So if I run Q3, you'll notice it's doing a red, white, and blue color chase. Now the thing to remember is that all of the nodes that record cues are only recording a static shot of what the cue is seeing at that time. So what you're actually seeing here is I've recorded 3 separate cues, and in the cue options screen, I've gone down here and I've enabled a link. Currently, I've got Q3 running, which is actually linking Q3, 4, and 5. And I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. How do you record cues from your lighting control software into the EN12i? I'm actually running Onyx on my laptop, and I've got 2 little cues that I recorded called flash left and flash right. So I've got this one here called flash left, and I'll play that now. And what that does is it just brings up the 2 fixtures 1 and 3. So now if I jump back into CLU and go over here and go to save cues, I'm going to save these as Q21 and 22. So that's Q21, and I'm going to save that one. Then I'm going to go back to Onyx. I'm going to release that first cue. You can see the lights going out. Then I'm going to trigger the second cue, which brings up the other 2 lights. I'm going to go back to CLU, and I'm going to go Q22, save. So that's now saved. So we've now got our 2 cues, 21 and 22. And when I release them from Onyx, we can test them. Right, so Onyx doesn't have control of the lights anymore. So from CLU, we should be able to go run Q21 and hit run, and there it is. And now if I go to Q22 and hit run, you can see it brings up the other lights. Now that's cool. We've got 2 static lighting looks. What happens if we want to interact? I'm going to go back to Q21, and then I'm going to go to cue options. So when we go into cue options, you can see it gives us a cue number, a cue name, fade times, hold time, and then a link cue. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Q21. I'm not going to give it a special name. And then down the bottom here, it says link cue disabled. I'm going to link that to Q22. I'm going to save that. Now what I need to do is I actually need to link Q22 back to 21, and it will create a loop. So now I need to go to Q22, go to link cue, and then say Q21 and save that. So now if I go back to run cues, hit disabled, which will stop all output, and then go to run cue and select run Q21, we should see a loop. And so we do. What I basically showed you is quickly how to run cues from within CLU. Say you've got a nightclub or a demo room or something, you just want to show people what stuff works. This is where the BS10 comes in really handy. This time I've actually got it mounted in a little wall box. Just imagine it's sort of hanging on the wall here. This piece of Cat6 cable here is actually plugged into the EN12i in the remote port, and I'm just going to plug it in. And so you can see there all the buttons light up, and I'm just going to hit button 1, which brings up Q1. Pretty simple. Then I'm going to hit Q3, and you can see it starts our red, white, and blue color chase. How do we get from controlling it with CLU to controlling it with the button panel? Well, we need to do some programming. How do we set it up to run in the BS10? Firstly, I'm going to release this. So I'm going to go back to disabled and hit run. Now that we don't have CLU running the cue, how do we set it up to run in the BS10? The EN12i, like all of the Netron nodes, has a trigger system.
Well, what we do is we go over to the controlling device, which in this case is the EN12i, and we hit Menu. We want to go down to Remote Inputs, select that. In this case, I'm going to want to put it on button 5. So I'm going to go down to Input 5. The first thing that comes up is Action, or ACT. The default is Disable DMX. I'm going to click on that and select Q. I'm going to select a queue. In this case, I want Q21.
Now there's two options. One is trigger mode, which will just turn it on, and the other one is toggle mode. So when you push a button, it goes on. When you release the button, it goes off.
The mode I want is trigger, which means I push the button, it triggers the queue, and it runs. So I've set that. I'm going to go back to my main menu screen, and now if I press the button for 5, we should see our side-to-side queue running, and indeed it is. So that'll run for as long as we want, and then we can go back and just select one of our other queues to play. You can also set it up so that one of the functions in an input screen is Disable DMX. Same as we did in CLU, you can actually put that on a button, and in this case, I put it on button 10. So if I hit button 10, it turns off all the output.
So that's the BS10 and the EN12i from Obsidian Control Systems. New products giving you a new way to solve interesting problems. Thanks very much. See you next time.